How's it going, everybody? And welcome back to another edition of the Stupid Questions podcast. Today on the pod, we're going to be talking with Andre Lopez. He is a professional triathlete from the Boulder area. He's a Brazilian guy, super nice guy. He is the fiance of Rachel Olson, who we had on just not too many episodes back. Today, get to dive deep into hearing about his family life, into his triathlon life, being an electrical engineer, a lot of different things, and also got a new mic. So hopefully the sound quality sounds a little bit better today. But yeah, without further ado, just want to say thank you so much for listening, and please enjoy this episode with Andre. Well, sweet, dude. Well, first of all, I guess officially, just thank you so much for making the time. Like you said, you rushed down the mountain. I'm glad there was no crashes or anything like that. You made it in one piece. That's good.
Yeah.
Got the recovery drink going. What are you drinking?
I'm like just drinking actually said this mango chunks from Costco,
Okay, nice.
with like some collagen and there's this company Issue that I'm sponsored by. They make like a
Yeah,
recovery drink, so I just throw it. It's like lemon lime, so it's very good. A little bit of
yeah,
orange juice, lemon lime, and mango, so it's pretty good. It's refreshing.
yeah, for sure. What's the ratio of mango chunks to the rest of the stuff?
That's almost like half of this is like mango.
Yeah, yeah.
The other is like orange juice, and yeah, the mangoes are pretty good. This is like a big pack from Costco, so it's
Yeah, man.
pretty convenient.
Yeah, you can't go wrong with Costco. I love making shakes or I guess more of smoothies and stuff, but laying up the peanut butter by the tablespoons and all that stuff. I like them nice and thick. I never enjoy it when I go to get a smoothie and it's like runny.
Yeah. I like
Yeah,
it more like, yeah, prosy.
yeah. Same. Cool, dude. So I guess there's a bunch of places we could start from. I feel like I know you a little bit just because I had the opportunity to talk to Rachel and got to know her a little bit. And I guess you through that. But the first place that I would love to start is just where you're from. So where are you from? I mean, you say you're in Colorado now, but where are you from?
Yeah, so it's a short, long story, let's say. Like I am my family's from Brazil.
Okay.
I was born in Ohio, but so that's why I have an American citizenship.
Okay.
And that's why the only reason why I was able to come here as a professional athlete and stay.
Yeah.
But I grew up in Brazil. Yeah, lived my whole life there. I think I spent 1 year in California, like in high
Okay.
school. My dad was working there, so I just studied abroad and learned how to speak English. I was like 12 or 13. But
Okay.
yeah, finished high school, went to college in Brazil, studied electrical engineering with
Oh,
industrial
wow.
engineering. Yeah, and I actually got to know the sport very late. I've been playing sports my whole life. I was a soccer player, tennis player, kind of like a small bodybuilder,
Oh,
and
really?
also like surfing. And then, yeah, I got to know Ironman through Ironman Florianopolis. They have a race there that's been going on for 25 years.
Yeah.
It's a pretty iconic race. And I was staff in 2013. And that's when I saw actually Tim Madonna winning the race. And I didn't
Okay.
have no idea what triathlon was at the point. I just like, but that was like the bug that bit me. That so
Yeah.
okay, that's pretty cool. I think I want to do this one day. And
Yeah.
actually, like after the race, I was like there for like 18 hours because like that's how long it takes to
Hmm.
for the last finishers to finish the race. And I was like, oh my God, like, and I saw people finishing like older than my grandma, like 70, 80 years old. Like, I was like, oh my,
Yeah.
this is, I mean, if they are doing it, I can definitely do it.
Yeah.
So, but it's definitely, once I saw, oh, this kind of pricey to do one. So I couldn't do it right at first, but I was like something that I kept on the back of my head that I was like, I want to do this one day. But yeah, so basically like and finally in 2016, I was able to buy like a very cheap bike and sign up and do it.
And make it
And I
happen.
did amazing from there, and I just fell in love with it, and like the rest is history.
Yeah. Well, thank you for your entire life story in 20 seconds. I feel like that was really good. So I'm going to back up a little bit and ask a lot of different questions around those because that's all super interesting. First of all, I guess, how old were you when you saw this first Ironman race?
I was 21.
Okay, you're 21. And how old are you now, if you don't mind me asking?
I am 32.
Okay, nice. I just turned 32 yesterday. So
Oh, happy birthday.
yeah, thanks, man. Fishing for a happy birthday compliment. When's your birthday?
It's August 11th, so I turned like almost a month ago.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. Nice. Yeah, we're not too far apart then.
Yeah.
So going back to Brazil, like you said, you grew up in Brazil and then you were born in Ohio. You moved, I guess, back to Brazil or whatever.
When I
How
was eight
long were
months
you?
old. I was 8 months old, so I
Okay.
was just born here.
Yeah. So do you miss Brazil?
Yeah, I miss it a lot. My whole family's there. My cousins, my sister. She has like 3 kids now. Yeah, I have a very big family, and Rachel has been there already 4 times. Every year we
Oh
go,
well.
sometimes
Yeah.
twice a year. It's just like a big trip. It's kind of expensive. Like it's like an international flight, but we always try to go and race once time and then take vacation after. So we
Yeah.
might do this year as well,
Okay.
in November. But yeah, I try to go at least a month in a year.
Yeah. Yeah, that's really big. So I know that just in South American culture, all the different countries, culture is obviously different. And here in the US, something I've noticed from traveling abroad is the emphasis on family is definitely a lot different here in the US than it is elsewhere. And in terms of like in South America, it's just a much bigger part of who you are. So I'd love to hear from your perspective, the just compare and contrast American culture, family versus like going back home for a month, being a part of that Brazilian culture.
Yeah, it's very there's a big contrast, let's say. Um, because like the Brazilian families, they're all like, I mean, for to give an example, my family, my mom's family lives like in a neighborhood, like a closed gated neighborhood, because like that's kind of like what people do, like they live in closed gated neighborhoods because it's safer. But like I have like six aunt and uncles that live in the same neighborhood, and
Well,
they have like also I have like 20 cousins that live in the same neighborhood. So whenever I go there, like it's like basically like I have lunch in one aunt and uncle house, and then go have like play cards with another cousin, like, and
mm,
they're just like it's just like you basically it's hard to train because or like it's just like because you're so social. There's so many like social interactions. Yeah. So and
yeah,
then like for example, like I have cousins that live like all over the world, and like so for example, last week, last like we were doing this Euro trip, and I have a cousin that lives in Switzerland, and I haven't seen her for like almost 10 years, and I was like, oh, I'm coming to Switzerland, can I stay in your place? I was like, of course.
yeah,
And then like it's just like some it's kind of like we are kind of like it's a family is like it's real family, like it's like we have very strong values, and like we just like
mm,
support each other, and like it's very we spend time, and we put in a lot of energy spending time with each other,
yeah,
like our culture.
yeah, yeah, for sure. How many siblings do you have?
I have only one sibling. I have only
Okay,
one like a little small sister, but she has 3 kids already.
yeah.
One was born like last week, so the last one.
Oh wow, congratulations, uncle.
Yeah.
How like what are the years difference, I guess, in age between you and your sister?
3 years. So she's 29. She has already 3 kids,
Oh, okay,
and I'm
wow.
32 and have zero.
Yeah. Do you feel are you getting some pressure from the family to start having kids anytime soon?
Not yet because my mom actually wanted to have me some like she wanted to be a grandmother, but I
Yeah.
think she has already has a lot on her plate.
Yeah.
I don't think she wants it. I was like she already has three, so
Yeah.
but yeah, I just got engaged with Rachel, so like
Yeah.
last 2 weeks ago, so that was like a big milestone for us. So
Yeah.
we'll take one step
Congratulations, by the way. That's
yeah,
huge.
yeah, one step at a time.
Yeah. Were you nervous in the lead up to the proposal and planning it all and everything that happened?
Yes, I mean, yeah, yes and no. I mean, we kind of like it's been 5 years we were together, so she was kind of half expecting it because we were
Sure.
the first time we go to Europe, do kind of like a trip for ourselves. But
Hmm.
I think I got her off guard, but I was definitely like, there was one day that I was trying to do it and I couldn't do it because I
Yeah.
just didn't find the right moment, and then, like, but I was just trying to like, yeah, do something for like we do, and like it was something like very unique. Like we are just going on a bike ride, and it was like, hey, let's stop here, like let's look at this place, and suddenly I just like proposed to her. So it was something very like my sister's like, oh my god, that's your guy's face doing that. So it's not like going to a restaurant or like doing something fancy. It was just
Yeah.
like us like our normal lives, and yeah, it was a special moment for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. Congrats, man. Do you guys have a date picked out yet?
No, no,
No.
no,
Yeah.
not yet.
Yeah, no, yeah, you got to figure that out. Yeah, I remember I asked my wife. I went overseas because she was living abroad for a year, and I showed up to surprise her and asked her, and yeah, we didn't figure out that probably for 3 or 4 months. So you got time, but yeah, it's a fun time in life for sure. I'm excited for you.
Yeah, no, thank you.
So, kind of talking a little bit, the culture differences we were talking about. You said that you've taken Rachel down to visit your family a few times. What was it like for her in your perspective? Like the first few times when you introduced her to the big family, was she used to that from how she grew up, or what was the differences?
Rachel is a very social person, so I think yeah, she loved it. I think she was a little bit overwhelmed with the Portuguese, the language barrier, because some people don't speak it, and then you kind of like whenever you don't understand, you just spend a lot of mental energy
Mhm.
trying to understand and try to be part of the conversations. But I think like yeah, it was just like I think she loved it. I mean, she can. I think I can't speak for herself, but like I think she really enjoy every time we go there. We have like a little rituals that we go. We do like food is amazing there. It's a lot cheaper too, so we can treat
Amen.
ourselves a little more. Yeah, but yeah, I mean the family like really took her on board. Like I mean, if I love her and like I want to spend the rest of my life with her, is like they'll of course support me. And but that she all of my family
Yeah.
loves her. So it's like it came very naturally. But yeah, so we try to go and we have fun. I mean, she's already part of the family, let's say,
Yeah.
even
Yeah.
before I was engaged.
Yeah. And you said you had 20 cousins, is that right?
I have like 22
Plus?
cousins from my mom's side, and then
Yeah.
like probably like 10 to 12 on my dad's side.
Yeah.
And my dad and my mom are like the youngest of the family. So my mom has like six siblings, and my dad has like four. So yeah, but they were like the last ones, and they only have like two. But I mean, all of my aunts and uncles have like at least three, sometimes four.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you'll have no problem finding, I guess, bridesmaids and groomsmen for the wedding.
No, actually, it's going to be a very expensive wedding. That's a problem. A lot of
Yeah, it's
family.
gonna be huge, huh? What is the culture like in Brazil for getting married, like in marriage stuff? Is it like a multiple day thing or just single day? Like what does it look like?
It's more like a one day thing. Like it's probably like most people are Catholic, so that we are married in the church. So it's like yeah, like there's ceremony on the church, and then like you just go to the party after. But we do different. Usually, like we go like something afternoon and the party all night long.
Yeah.
Uh, but I don't know if we're gonna be up for that. We might do like a
Yeah,
day
yeah.
wedding. But we'll see. We
Yeah.
don't even know. We probably have to do. The problem we have like friends in the U.S., so we have to do something here in the U.S. and then something outside of the U.S. Maybe do
Yeah.
the ceremony here and then the wedding, the party in Brazil, and invite friends to race and come up because our friends are athletes, so they come race and come to up the party after. So we'll see.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, that'd be interesting. Be fun to follow that journey for sure. I'll look for some more posts.
Yeah.
But how did you meet Rachel?
So yeah, we met racing. I think I was like it was on my second year as a pro. Yeah, my second year as a pro. So I moved to the US 2018. That was my first year as a pro and third year in triathlon overall. And then I stayed in Tucson. Then I kind of ran out of money and went to Santa Fe with my coach, and then went to stayed there for 2018. Ran out of money, went to New Jersey. Stayed with my aunt there. That I have an aunt that lives in New Jersey. She's actually my godmother. So I have like three cousins, very close cousins. They're like my mom's closest sister. And then I stayed with them for like 6 months, and then I was like just working as a lifeguard, and just my aunt was paying like for rent, food, so didn't have to stress through my car. So I was like in a very fortunate position that I could just like make money and just save it. But I already kind of like I was like looking at profile. Oh, who's cute, who's not cute? Like I mean, I was like, oh, who are the girls like actually could like hang out and have fun
Mhm.
or like get to know. And Boulder was always on my top list to come here. And Rachel already had lived here since the beginning of 2019. I kind of like planned like a training camp there when I was like gonna go for like a month or two, and then the race before the training camp was like I actually met her in the race, and I had like some common friends, so we just like introduced each other. But we officially met in Boulder like June of 2019. Like we're just like swimming. I like kind of like swimming at Riley Sports, and then we just like go for a ride, and then like she actually invited me out for dinner before I could have it. I was very shy and stuff.
Okay.
Yeah, so it was like we met in Boulder, but yeah, it's kind of like in races we kind of got to know each other. But in Boulder is where we officially met and where we live right now.
Yeah. So is it safe to say that she kind of pursued you first, and then it took a little spur for you to kind of get the gumption, I guess, to seek that first date, or how did that go out in the very beginning?
I already wanted to go out on a date with her, but I was like just trying to take things low, and she was
Mhm.
already ready for it. I think she was like,
Yeah.
okay, there's no time to waste. And like she already wanted to go, and so she was like, oh, let's go get dinner one day. I was like, oh, sure. And then that was like kind of like an official date, let's say.
Yeah.
But yeah.
That's awesome. Sweet, man. Yeah, thanks for sharing. So you mentioned a couple other things back at the beginning of our conversation that I'd love to dive into. First of all, you said you were an engineer, or I guess you took that at university. Is that correct?
Yes, I graduated as an electrical engineer
Okay.
back in Brazil.
Yeah. So tell me about that, because like that's in my mind a very different than being a professional athlete and my own, I guess, I don't know, biases. Maybe they do go well together. I don't want to make any too big of an assumption, but it seems like to me that seems like a very different path of life. So what made you want to go toward that direction? And do you think that you end up doing that post triathlon?
Yeah, so I mean, yeah, I to be honest, like I mean, I always wanted to be a professional athlete since that was my dream as a kid, to be a professional athlete. But I never was able to achieve it as being a soccer player. Just like too many kids in Brazil play soccer, it's hard to break in. You have like gotta have a good agent or something. It's like here in the U.S., being a football player is kind of very hard. Like there's a lot of people that play, but there are a lot of people that make it. Then playing tennis was kind of like I was good, but not like good enough to be like a very good professional tennis. And my parents could not afford to like travel around the world, collect points. Is a very tennis is like it seems a very nice and easy, but there's a lot of people that pay, and there's like a lot of like costs, even more than triathlon to barrier
Really?
to entry to barrier to like how to say to cross the barrier
Yeah.
to like actually be making a career out of it. But then I kind of like gave up on that dream when I went to college. Okay, I'm just gonna work and be an engineer. My dad's a professor in university in Brazil, and he wanted me to get okay, let's study first, and then we decide what we do after. I actually
Mhm.
wanted to study like physical education or physical. I don't know what it's called, like the degree that you become to like be a personal trainer or like
Yeah.
a
Physical education or
physical
yeah,
education.
personal trainer degree.
Yeah, personal trainer degree. So, but my dad say, hey, like, do you want to be is this your hobby or is this something that you actually want to work with? And then I was like, I think it's my hobby. So, and it's like, okay. So then I like engineering was like kind of like the next, like kind of, I always like numbers, I always like to like think and like solve problems. So that was kind of like the next step, but I never kind of like let go of the dream. I was like, okay, let me try bodybuilding. Like during college, I was like just lifting like twice a day, like just trying to like, yeah, look good. Like I did
Is
like
there
in
some? Is there somewhere? Sorry to interrupt. Is there somewhere I can go to find pictures of shredded Andre where he just like, you're looking amazing, or do you still have that stuff?
yeah, kind of. To go way back on my Instagram, probably
Okay,
can find something like back in 2014.
I'm
So
gonna
like 10
Google
years
that
ago.
after. Yeah,
Yeah, there's some stuff. There's some gold mine there.
yeah.
You're gonna have to mine a little bit, but
Maybe
we'll
maybe I'll
find
make
something.
that the thumbnail for the episode of like you like flexing. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, it was not like it was. I mean, it was not like bodybuilding. I was kind of like actually I was a little bit disappointed when like I was so naive that like I mean I was trying to do everything like I'll just like eat clean like train hard, like lift weights, like progress and everything. When
Mm.
then I found out like people are like taking like drugs, like steroids, and it's like, oh my god, it's actually not fair because I'm like training my ass off here, and like you can actually just take like something, but it's not good for you.
Yeah,
Anyway, then I was like, because yeah, it's just like I was not like I was not very intense into bodybuilding. It was more like trying to do like the natural thing, like just trying to challenge my body and like
yeah,
just to yeah, just do it for my health and not to actually be like that massive guy.
yeah.
Um, just to like look good because I live in a beach town, so it was like very. I just wanted to look good and
Mm.
surf and do whatever. But yeah, triathlon was like something because I trained my whole life. I was an athlete my whole life and never swam, bike, or ran. But I mean, playing soccer you ran, playing tennis
Sure.
you like sprint, you have a lot of abilities, and cycling's like kind of like it's not something that you can train, and swimming is something that came like because I surfed a little bit, and then like I feel like because I played tennis, like you kind of develop some hand skills,
Mhm.
and I feel like that came in handy when I started swimming. I don't know why, but yeah, whenever I start triathlon, like people are like, "Oh my god, like you have like a natural talent for this. Like you're good at this." Like, and actually on my first Ironman, I trained for like 8 months. I think it was like August 2015 when I officially started. So it's not even been 10 years that I'm a triathlete, let's say.
Mhm.
And with my 8 months of training already, kind of like won my age group in my first Ironman. And I went to Kona. I didn't even know what Kona was, to be honest.
Wow.
Like I raced Kona in 2016. I got injured before the race, but I was like still six on my age group, and then yeah, I just like as soon as I was six in the world from 18 to 24, I was like, oh my god, I'm actually quite decent at this. I might try to give it a shot, and I started surrounding myself with like back at the time, Igor Morelli was like a very good Brazilian athlete. He was sponsored by Red Bull. Um, yeah, he just like I just surrounded myself with like Brazilian pros, and then like I started like training with them, and within like 1 year, I was already like as good as they were. I mean, of course, I didn't have the experience, but like they were doing
Sure.
that for like 10, 15 years, and I was already like kind of like kind of like scratching your backs a little bit, like, hey, like young new kid on the block, like and trying to train. I was like, okay, how can I be good at this? And I was like, okay, I actually wanted to give up on the college degree, like, because I was like, I just want to be a. I think I found my calling, let's say. And I was like, my dad said, no, you got to finish this. You got to finish this. And so I kind of like put a big effort to finish 2017. And then once I finished, I completed like, okay, I'm all into, I saved all my money that I had. I was working an internship. And I was like, my boss wanted me to hire me. And I was like, no, I got to do this for myself. I got to at least try. I was like 24 at the time. No, that was 2018. So I was like, yeah,
6 years ago.
26 years old. Yeah, 26. I was 26 when I turned pro. And that was like my second year in the sport, kind of second, third year. So and then like, but I took like one hit. Like the first year was a lot of learnings, and then I just like kind of like 2019 when it's kind of flipped the switch for me. Like I was working with my long-standing coach, like Ryan Bolton, for like 5 years. Actually, I stayed with him. He like was my biggest mentor in the sport, let's say. Just try to trust the process and and it's been a long journey until here, man. Like it's just a lot of stuff happened, but like I don't regret it because right now like it kind of like it's paying off. But it's been a rough but also very good path, like very like path that I learned a lot of life skills and a lot of networking, a lot of like I wouldn't trade this for any other job in the world, to be honest.
Yeah, it's interesting hearing stories like yours because I'm kind of hit in the face with the reality that it seems to me, from my perspective and talking to other people, those who have a similar journey in that they've had a hard time or it hasn't been easy, it hasn't been given to them. Like they didn't grow up with parents that were triathletes or they weren't raised in just a family that had enough wealth to be able to hand that over so you can kind of chase your dreams for an extended period of time. For those who have to work hard for something, it seems like it means a little bit more and you're willing to dig a little bit deeper. And I think through all of that, it really helps develop the mental game of this sport as well, or endurance, because you've not only endured swim, barking, and running, but you've endured, like you were saying earlier, financially. Like it hasn't been easy, like running out of money, going to stay and live with your coach. I've heard that story a few different times from other professional athletes. So it's always, I think it's a good thing. I guess it's kind of what I'm kind of in my brain. It's like, yeah, it's hard, but if you do break out of it, it's because of these past experiences that have kind of prepared you for whatever's to come next.
Yeah, totally. I mean, I say like whatever comes easy goes away easy. And whatever you actually work hard for it, like your work will, I always say that hard work pays off. Like it's not like it's kind of lame saying that, but like it does pay off. Like at some point, if you work hard and you have goals and you are disciplined and you're like resilient, you take punches, you get up, and I mean at some point you're gonna succeed. Like no matter what you do, it's just like you gotta. Of course, you cannot be like delusional, but if you have a calling, like you want to like pursue something and you actually want to work hard for it, you might not be the best in the world. I don't think I'll ever be the best in the world, but like I think I can be good enough to compete with the best in the world. And that's like what I'm here for. I'm not here to like. I mean, of course, I'd love to win like a world champs, but I know like it will take a couple more years if actually we'll ever be able to achieve that. But I know I can be on the top 10 in the world, which is something that I'm working for in the next 10 years. So.
Yeah. It takes a whole lot of confidence. I think there are very few people that I've talked to where they're like, yeah, I can definitely be the top in the world. Like it's always kind of hedged with this I see this inner conflict where people are like, well, I actually do believe I can be best in the world, but I don't know. Like, I think I could be like top 10 or whatever. It's like, I don't know. For me, if I was going to do that, if I knew I had the athletic ability, I would be hesitant to say I can be the best in the world because you don't want to be too bombastic about it. But at the same time, you see like, oh, there's a path there, but will I get there? That's the real question.
Yeah, I mean, there's just so many variables. Like, and it's like it's a tough sport. Like, it's getting way more competitive than when I started in 2018. Like, it was already competitive, but nowadays, like, you gotta invest a lot. The sport is becoming more expensive to be fast. Like, it's definitely more gear out. There's a lot of more testing, a lot of more science, a lot of more like altitude training, wind tunnel testing, like gear.
Checking your finger earlobe all the time, checking your lactate.
So I mean, it's just getting more professional, and yeah.
So your dad wanted you obviously to finish your engineering degree because he cared about you. He wanted you to have, I guess, a fallback plan. And it sounds like he's a professor, so like that's important to him. But do you feel that your dad is proud of you for what you're doing now?
Absolutely. Yeah,
Yeah.
he's very proud. Because like, I mean, I yeah, it's just like, of course, like if I if I had like very like specific goals when I started this, like my I had like 2 year goals, 3 year goals, 5 year goals, 10 year goals, and like of course like if I didn't like met those, like, and those are like very like not very like, oh my god, I want to be a world champ in 5 years. Like it's more like,
Yeah.
hey, I want to get a top 10 finish by within 2 years in the sport. Like I want to get my first spray check. I want to actually get my first sponsor. Like I want to qualify for Worlds, 70.3 Worlds. I want to start racing Ironmans. I want to qualify for Kona. And I kind of like check all those boxes, kind of like 1-2 years in advance. So actually, everything was like, and I showed them this. Actually, I showed this PowerPoint to them that like I made whenever I was like studying. Like, hey, like this is what I want to achieve. This is what I want to do. And right now, like, yeah, it's like, of course, they would love me to be like working a regular job, being a normal person, having kids, and just like be like in their small gated community neighborhood, having dinners every Sunday. There's like a tradition in my family. Like every Sunday they meet up to have dinner,
Mm.
socialize, barbecue. But I don't think that's the life that was meant for me. Like I've always been a very active kid. Always been like training, like focusing, like everything. I don't remember a day in my life that I didn't train. Like even like when I was like 8 years old, I was playing soccer like at least an hour a day.
Mm.
So people say, oh yeah, you maybe I have a natural talent, but also I've been doing sports, no matter what it was, like since I was a very young age. It might have not been swim, bike, and run, but it was something different. But definitely helped create like very good skills that like people sometimes when they just play video games, they're not gonna start and run a 40-minute 10K, which I kind of did when I started running. Like, so it's like, yeah, it's I think they're proud that like he's proud that like I kind of like made this a career path and like I work hard and like an honest person. I don't cheat. I don't like step over people, and I just like have like very good values and like and yeah, it's I have a lot of people that now like respect me and like idolize me and back home. So that's like something that is very being like very cool to see, and like for them actually to see my influence. Like they have like for colleagues, people that was, oh my god, like I have a son to do triathlete. Oh, I do triathlete. Oh my god, this is your son, like crazy. So
Mhm.
it's kind of like funny how like because like yeah, I mean I might not be like a crazy soccer star player, but like people
Yeah.
like sometimes like recognize me, and it's like kind of interesting to see like when my parents get, oh my god, that's your son.
Yeah. Yeah. For them to be able to see that, like, have you been present in the moment when those things have happened where people have said like, "Oh, that's your son," or is this like them telling you the stories?
Yeah, I mean, what do you mean?
Sorry, that was a really poorly phrased question. For when your parents have, when this has happened, when someone is like, "Oh, yeah, that's your son," were you there in the moment, like with them
No,
physically, whenever
no,
that? No, they're just telling you
no.
that story. So yeah, I'm
Yeah,
sure that makes you feel like really good to be able to hear that, like, "Oh yeah, I'm doing something that matters."
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So you mentioned that like your values are something important, and like you're influencing others. So where do those values come from? And I guess what are your values?
They definitely come from family. Yeah, I had a very like my grandfather from my dad's dad was a very like special person in my life. He taught me like a lot of like yeah, like a lot of good lessons in life, like a lot of
Mhm.
good values, like I mean like nothing crazy, just like be honest, like work hard, yeah, just don't step over anyone else, like always respect, always give back to the community, like yeah, I mean because stuff comes around, like you cannot like be arrogant, but yeah, I think the biggest value that I have is just like just working hard and like just having like a clear goal in my head that like I just like I can be down, I can be sad, but I still like get out of the door and like or whatever. I still try to do the stuff that I need to do to be successful or to just like to be happy with my life. So yeah, it's but yeah, he's the one that actually like bought me my first tennis racket, like got me
Oh,
in the new
wow.
sport. Like, he's like always the one that like kind of like had like, hey, just go try this and like, because my parents are not like my family hasn't none. I'm kind of like the first generation, the first guy in my family who actually achieved or like tried to go through some sports. Like all my family, like they are like very. I wouldn't say sedentary, but like just like nobody plays sports. Nobody like was like, because like there's some families that like there's some like Sam Lalo, his dad was already like a professional swimmer. He was like cycling already 100 miles when he was like 10 years old. Like, and it's not that it comes easy to those people, but they just have like it's actually a lot more pressure for them. But like for me, it was like more like I was just trying to find myself, find who I was. And sports was always like a big like part of my life, because I was like, I had like a very like, I would hate study and read a book. I would rather go play with my friends. Because I don't know, like I just had a lot more fun doing that than just like reading a book or studying something. Like I don't know, like it was just like more like, hey, how fit can I get? How many goals can I score in a match? Like how many games can we win? Our team win? Like anyway, yeah.
Yeah. No, I'd really admire that, especially with what you're kind of listening to your whole story here. Your dad asked you to basically, or I don't know if he commanded you or told you had to finish your college career and, get your degree in electrical engineering. But I'm more confrontational, I think, than you, and I would have had a hard time submitting to my father's will in that case. So I do admire the fact that you honored him enough to go and finish it. And then you're like, okay, I ran the course and now I'm going to go do the professional athlete thing. And the fact that you said that, your dad's proud of you, or you can tell like your family is proud of you, even though they don't share this same vision for what life success should look like, because they're more envisioning a 9-to-5 job or whatever the schedule is in Brazil or whatever. For you to break out of that, I think is a really cool thing, because it brings a whole healthy dose of perspective, I think, to your whole family. I can imagine just a lifestyle that they're not used to at all. The contracts for making sponsorships, the going to the races, the trying to figure out how to survive financially in a very expensive sport and things like that.
Yeah, no, totally. Yeah. I mean, to be clear, my dad never like obligated me to finish my study. He was like, he's a very wise person. So it's like, he put like the facts. Hey, he always puts the fact, hey, look at this. You're like 6 months, 7, 8 months, 12 months away. You already spent like 4 years doing this. You're going to throw all of that away. So he kind of like, are you for sure you want to do that? So anyway, it's like more like hey, like, look at this. Like you should be doing this, but like look at all you've done. So, but yeah, it's definitely like, having the lifestyle that I have right now is something that I always wanted to have, like, and it's to be able to do what I want and what I like. Of course, being a pro athlete, like there's a lot of stuff behind the scenes that people don't realize, like the struggles, like the motivation to get out the door sometimes, like the hard training, like pushing yourself every day, like just training massive hours week in, week out. Because some people like, oh my God, it's so easy to be a pro athlete. Like you just got to train and like and eat and rest. Like, oh my God, that's easy. Yeah, it's easy for a week, maybe for a month, but do that like 52 weeks in a year, like, and like 5-10 years in a row. Like, I mean, Jan Frodeno, like he's been doing that for like 20 years. Like I heard, like I saw a post that it was like his first summer holiday in like 20 years. Like imagine like the sacrifice that he made, like to be like as good as he was. So yeah, there's some very good things, but there's also a lot of responsibilities, unwritten responsibilities of being a professional athlete that people don't realize, or they don't. I mean, sometimes they don't like, they know or they feel in their skin. So I'm very grateful to have this job, but it's also like there's a lot of responsibilities that I have to keep myself accountable to do that.
Yeah, for those of us who don't know, and myself included, what all of those responsibilities are, do you have any that you could share that are maybe less well known, or things that like apply a lot of pressure to you as an individual for living this lifestyle?
I mean, financial is one of them. Like it's very hard to survive, like being a professional athlete. I think like, I mean, I myself, and I know other people like don't live exclusively from professional athlete. Like triathlon is not like it's not a sport mainstream enough to make, I don't make like 6 figures just with prize money. I mean, I make like maybe $10,000 a year, like average in my whole career. Like it's not like, oh my God, maybe in 6 years I made like $50,000, $60,000 with prize money. And people look back like, I mean, $60,000 is not enough to even survive 1 year. So what do you do to pay the bills? So I mean, like just like, I mean, I have I would say like 2 other jobs that I call besides triathlon, which is like, one of them is like social, like you got to be like an influencer. So you got to be like kind of like I wouldn't say like you just got to be able to promote yourself in the platforms that are out there. So either YouTube or Strava, like Instagram. So you got to like create a community that follows you, that is interesting in you. So you got to keep yourself, you gotta kind of like post every day a little bit or about so you're relevant to people. You can inspire, and actually you'd be surprised how many people are inspired by you about what you do. And sometimes it's hard to do that. It's not like it doesn't come easy. Like it's like sometimes you don't want to like be on your phone and like post and like, but it's half of the sponsors that I got and half of the networking that I did is because like how I'm able to survive right now is because I actually invested a lot of time in this, and it comes like it pays off. Like I mean, the hard work that I did like in the socials, like it kind of like I would say like I mean Sam Long is one of my best friends. Like we say like by the sponsor that I have with the results that I have. I mean, of course, I have really good results for like a professional athlete, like a triathlete, but I have like really good sponsors because I have like a very good social media. Not the best, but like a very decent enough for what I'm able to provide in the race course. And actually, my sponsors value a lot the community that I've built, like the influence that I have in South America, and the influence that I have in the US. Like it's just like they value that even more sometimes than the results itself. So that's kind of like the second, like let's say the second job, and the third job, like I coach. Yeah. So like I'm like kind of like a triathlon coach, running coach. Because I have so much experience, I live and breathe this, and like actually Ryan Bolt to kind of like guide me in the beginning to like start making this transition. So I started coaching like 2019, and it's been like almost 5 years now. So yeah, we have like a small coaching group. It's not like official, but like yeah, we just started like call it like just chasing triathlon. Like we just kind of have a website, but I don't have a lot of capacity because like I really like to take care of the people that I coach. So like right now, like I have like 10 athletes max, maybe 12 at some points. It oscillates because it goes up and down. Sure. But that's like 2 other things that I do on my weekly schedule that takes a lot of time. Yeah. And I know it's just like, I don't recall your question exactly, but those are like responsibilities that, I mean, if I wanted to like exclusively chase prize money, I know that like it's a lot harder. Like, and there's other avenues because I know like, in my opinion, like because I'm so new to the sport, I need more time to be like the best. Or, I mean, I feel like I've been on the top 100 in the last 4 or 5 years. And Ironman is kind of like my best discipline right now. Probably like in the top. I mean, I was inside the top 25 in the last 2 years in the World Champs. So yeah, it's pretty good, but it's not like close to like the top 10. We were actually the top 5, which are making good money. So for me to rely only on getting results and getting sponsors sometimes is like it takes a little bit more pressure when you have like other avenues to like of income. Yeah. And other projects, like I mean, just like this year, like we created like a training camp business here in Boulder. That was like I team up with another influencer from Brazil that is an amateur, that's like a very good friend, and like we just created like a training camp business. We're gonna probably keep this for like, because you know like triathlon is such short a career that if you don't do something right now, when you are actually like valuable and people know who you are, if you leave to do the coaching, all the stuff later when you're done, unless you're a world champ, people are not gonna care that much. But if you do that while your whole career, you develop time a little bit every week just to do that. In 10 years, you might have like a very successful business. And I mean, I'm not dumb. But that's when the part from the engineer comes. Like I'm always working a side project. So it's just other things that I have because like that's just myself. Like, I mean, I feel that's the values that I was like, I'm kind of multitasking. I probably should do less of this stuff, but I mean, it just brings me more security and like, other stuff to be able to do stuff in life that is not only like swim, bike, and run and just like train hard and race hard and fight for prize plenty. Like, because right now is like, I think it will change in the future, but it will take a couple of years to actually be able to be a pro triathlete and leave exclusively out of training and prize money and stuff.
Yeah, you strike me not as just a engineer or not just an athlete, but very much an entrepreneur. I mean, chasing triathlon, your YouTube channel has like 6,000 followers. Obviously your Instagram, curating content that people are interested enough to subscribe to, like that's in itself, I know people that do that as their full-time job. So doing that along with being an athlete and trying to train and balance all these things sounds complicated, lots of time management needed to say the least. But I'm curious, like with the pressure, you said it takes some of the pressure off, obviously, because there's different streams of potential revenue that you can build there. But how do you deal with pressure? Like, is pressure something that motivates you to do better, or is it something you collapse under? Like, how do you deal with it?
Pressure makes diamonds. So I like pressure. I think like for example, like I had to get the Konas a lot in Frankfurt because like I raced well in Texas and whatever, but I was like very looking forward to like, because I was like, this is my shot. I gotta race hard and I gotta like perform, because like this is the water's hitting my butt and I gotta perform to be on the world champs. So I think like, and there's other scenarios, like I think Daytona 2020, like there's a qualifying race that was like here in Florida, and like I had to like get like top 3 or whatever to like get the call for the PTO Daytona, the first one, and I actually was able to like, that I feel like pressure is good. Of course, like there's a point that pressure can be bad too, but like I think I deal well with it. Like I mean, of course, right now like it's coming to, in the beginning of my career, I didn't really like everything was a win. Like I mean, I was just having fun and trying to improve. But right now, like there's a little bit more pressure, let's say. But I try not to put a lot of pressure on myself, because like if you just like dig yourself and like, oh, I gotta do this, I gotta perform, I gotta like win this, I gotta like and so ever, like it's just like it just will get you on your back, like, and just like I mean, I don't know, it couldn't go either way, but I definitely want to go race in Brazil. There's a lot more pressure, but every time I have pressure, I race well. That's the problem. And actually, I mean, I got the Kona slot because of the doping thing, whatever that happened in Texas. But actually, in Frankfurt, and it was like 10 days before the race in Frankfurt, and actually, like, kind of like messed up my hand. It was like, I don't need. I'm just gonna go and like play a safe race. And anyway, I had like a lot of stuff happening in the race for me, like crash, like penalty that was not like a BS penalty in T1, not even drafting penalty. But it was like, it was just like, it was not meant to be that day, but like, I was kind of like before the race, like I was kind of like, okay, I was right. Like, I think I raced well under pressure. To answer your question.
Yeah. It sounds like Frankfurt took a lot of wind out of your sails to a degree. It sounds like that was a very tough race.
Yeah, it was a very tough race. It was my first time racing in Europe besides the World Champs. Like, because I did 2019, 7.3 Worlds in Nice, and then last year did the Ironman World Champs in Nice. But the fields in Europe are very different. They're like more, people know how to swim and bike there. They know how to swim and they know how to ride a bike. So it's like in the US, I feel like it's kind of like all over the place. There's not very good swimmers that do triathlon. There's quite a few, but like they're kind of like hit and miss. And the bikers like are very good in Europe too. So it's just like more there's more depth in the field there. But it was I mean, it was probably like, I think it was the most competitive race outside of the World Champs ever. There was like 85 guys in the Starlands. There's 20 guys that are qualified to Kona in that race. And there was like, I mean, Sam Long was 22nd. I mean, and he had a decent race. And Sam Long is winning Ironmans here in the US, or podium at least. It was like it's just like a lot of stuff happening to me. Like, it wasn't my day, but I still like, that was probably one of the most sufferings I had in a marathon, and probably the slowest marathon I ever ran because of the crash. Because I think like I was running on adrenaline, and whenever the adrenaline ran off, I kind of like, my body completely shut down. I was like in so much pain the last 10K, like, but I was like, I gotta finish for the Ironman Pro Series. But it was a full experience. But I think like I learned a lot of lessons, which is always what I take in life. You gotta always learn and get better next time.
Yeah. What did you learn in respect to the crash, like the bike crash? How did that happen?
Man, like, just gotta be a little less full send, I guess, like a little bit more careful and respect the conditions. But it's like I didn't preview the course, and like, so every corner somebody was crashing. Jackson Laundry crashed. There was like this guy actually he finished in the top 10. He crashed like roundabout, and like there was like, and everyone that would be on the front of the race, like pushing the pace, and they would go to a corner too fast and crash, and everyone was low down. So I was at this point that I was in front of the race, like 80K into the race, 50 miles, and me and this other guy, Matthias Peterson, we just like, that was a turn that was like slightly uphill. So we kind of, I'll probably take a little bit of risk. And then like I kind of came in hot and I turned, and when I started turning, I was like, oh, I got this, and I started pedaling. When I did a first pedal stroke, I completely like slid, and it was like, holy shit. And I just I just like completely like, there's a video of this that Toffer still needs to send me, but I completely like ripped my elbows, like it's still like
3 weeks, still healing.
Like yeah, kind of open. I bought like we say in Brazil, when you fall, you buy land because you like leave your skin in this
Yeah, you
pavement.
bought a lot of
I like
land.
bought a huge piece of land in Germany, but Maryland.
Oh man, that's intense. Yeah, I would love to see that. I think I actually may have seen that video because it was raining a ton at that race, right?
It was raining like insane, and it
Yeah.
hasn't. The problem is like that I found out later. It wasn't. It was. They have like a very dry 3 weeks, and whenever they have that, there's a lot of dirt and oil on
Oh,
the road, and then like whenever it rains, like becomes like very slippery.
yeah.
And yeah, I mean, it was like there's like out of 85 guys, I think 20 crashed. Like there's
Woo.
actually, but I just like I think the crash. I was bleeding a lot. Like it was
Oh
actually
yeah.
like it was. I could see blood like falling on my every. I was bleeding a lot, and yeah, I was having a little concerned. I was like, hey, do you guys have like any medical cars? Like I can just like patch this, like. And actually, like they teach you ahead of time, like, hey, like there's a couple guys coming in very beat up, and I got like medical attention to teach you because like it was very bad, like it was very open.
Yeah. Did you get stitches?
I didn't, but I think I needed to
Yeah.
because
I mean, it
yeah,
still even looks like it's partially
yeah,
open still. Oh man. Well, I'm glad
yeah,
you survived that. I mean,
yeah,
good grief. I can't imagine. Yeah, learning lessons. Next time, not so full send, as you said. Oh, man, that's
yeah.
great. So I have another question for you. I've gotten to know you now for 47 minutes. I feel like I've gotten a little bit of context of family, racing, some of your work background in terms of schooling, a little bit of understanding of family dynamics. So I feel like I could put together a little spiel of like who Andre is, but I would love to hear from your perspective who you think Andre is. So who is Andre?
Who is Andre? That's a good question. I mean, I think it's a little bit of everything I told you. It's just like this kid is always like he's always been very friendly with a lot of people. Like I feel like I since the day one that I moved to the US, like I came here to learn. I didn't came here to like show that I'm the best, like that I need to be better than anyone else. Like it's just like, hey, like I've always been a very like friendly guy. Like I feel like I have like I don't think I have any like enemies in my career. Like I don't think like I made any enemies in triathlon. Like I feel like I always everyone that I know, like it's kind of like I I'm always friendly with everyone that I know. Like I feel like I feel like yeah, a huge part of myself has just been open and like kind of like trying to learn from other people, like actually people that like I respect and like people that have been successful before. Like I trained with Ben Hoffman a lot. He was actually one of my biggest role models, him and Tim O'Donnell. So I kind of like always latch to people that are like better than me, that actually are more experienced and everything. So I think like I'm always been a guy that like try to learn with other people. That's like all even in college, like whenever like studying and everything, I always like looked up to somebody else. Like, hey, like this person knows more than they have like actually good qualities. Let me learn with this person. So I think I've always been like a person that's very interesting in like being better and like actually like learning with other people, if you know what I mean, and like just having a very good like I wouldn't say like friendship based, but like it's like I'm like always nice with other people, and I throughout my like career, like in even like in throughout college and like now in the triathlon scene, I'm friends with like almost everyone. Like I think like I'm not to be like oh my god like I'm the most social guy, but like I think like everyone that I met, like I know a lot of people in the triathlon scene, and everyone kind of like knows who I am and know like oh my god that like I feel like we always like yeah it's always easy to like make friends when somebody like I feel like a lot of guys in the pro field like they always like oh my god they're so like serious and like they don't really talk to other people, like they're kind of like intimidated like or they don't really like want to show their feelings. Like I feel
Mhm.
like sometimes like some people just have a poker face and they're not themselves. They try to hide like and just like not be themselves. Like and I feel like I always try to be myself with other people and like just try to learn as much as I can, no matter if they're better than me or worse than me. Like and just yeah, I mean that's what I think that's probably like my biggest virtude or quality. Yeah, just like just being like very friendly, very like respectful to other people, and like just try to learn as much as I can with the peers that I think have done well, and actually people that like are yeah not people that are still learning, and like also you can learn with those people's other stuff. Like you cannot not you can always learn something with other people. Like you can always learn something, which is
Mm.
can never like you always like is a kaizen, is always continuous improvement, let's say.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. What do you think it is that has afforded you that confidence in who you are, and that it's given you the ability to not be so, I don't know, super serious, stay in your lane? Because I think a lot of that, what you're talking about, almost like that super serious, I'm gonna not talk to other people, kind of comes from a place of insecurity. Maybe not for everybody. I think some people are just more introverted, so to each his own. But what do you think for you has afforded you that ability to kind of just be friends with everyone? Yeah.
Yeah, that comes from family, but it also comes from like, I mean, I feel like during college, like yeah, just being like a team player. I feel like soccer, like just like playing team sports, always trying to like. And during college, we had like this like this junior entrepreneur, like is like kind of
Mhm.
like a small like project that you take like on part of like besides college, that you kind of like have to be like a entrepreneur while like in college, and you have like to work with teams and be social and like network and code call, like to get projects from companies. Like anyway, I feel like I've always been like a very like, I mean, very open person, and very like try to have like develop my social skills, because I honestly like I feel like networking is one of the best qualities you can have,
Mm.
like no matter what you do. Like
Yeah.
it's just like networking. It's yeah, it's game. Like I mean, if you're good at networking, if you know how to talk and you know how to express yourself, know how to like convince people, like I mean, even you cannot be a bullshitter all the time. Like if you can like actually
Yeah. Communication.
communication like just is a very important skill, and I feel like that's one of the ones that I developed the most during college, even though I was like doing engineering, and I feel like it's yeah, I mean it got me very, because like even when I moved to Boulder, like some people like they come to Boulder, oh my god, like they try to like, oh my god, it's the Boulder bubble, whatever, like. And I feel like there's always these small groups here and there, like very exclusive. Or you come to Boulder, you try to do your own thing, like. But I feel like I'm on the guy that actually train with the most people outside, like, and like, and I mean, I got to connect with many people, got many sponsors through that. Yeah, I mean, I was able to, yeah, last year we're like living next to Tim and Rainey, which is like a dream come true. Like I always look up to those guys, and we're living in a house, a sponsor house, next to Tim and Rainey, which was like super cool.
Mhm.
And like we just like yeah, we just it's I mean it got being Boulder is only being able because I was able to network and know a lot of people, like real estate agents, like net like people sometimes they come to me like, hey Andrea, do you know a place to stay? Like I was like, yeah, like I know a couple of people here and there. Like it's just like yeah, I've been like very I think I'm very part of the community right now, and it's just like that was because like my social skills, because I was able to come here and like really socialize and like get to know all the pro athletes, like, and be respectful, and just like yeah, I mean today for example I was like Rudy von Berg, like is like one of the guys that I look up to, like he was fourth in the world like in Nice. And yeah, I've been through like a phase that I'm like not have a coach. Like I've been with Ryan Bolton for a lot of years, and then Julie Dibbins like was 1 year only, and then like since last year I'm kind of like trying to find my feet, and like I'm latching to other athletes. So like Rudy's doing his Kona prep and also doing my Kona prep. So like hey, like let me latch with you this week. Let's try to train together. I'll follow your plan. And it was like it's something that if it was somebody else, probably he would say no. But because like it's something that like he enjoys training with me, like and it's like something that he like I don't know, like he kind of like yeah, he sees value in having me, like because of the I don't know if it's the attitude or the
Mhm.
friendship, or like just being respectful and trying to like not screw each other either in the sessions,
Yeah.
more like trying to like let's take the most out of it. And that was with Sam too. Like Sam is one of my best friends. Like I mean, I know Sam before he was even had like not even like 10% of what he's right now, and like we kind of like grew, we worked together to be better, and like we actually got a lot better training together, and we of course he had a little bit more success than I did because he just like found his calling in the 7.3s, and like yeah, he's one of the best 7.3 athletes in the world right now, like. But yeah, we just like yeah, I always try to be social and try to like work. Even though triathlon is an individual sport, I feel like you can get a lot from working with other athletes and just being like open to learn and open to improve and to give a little bit back and not be like completely selfish in your plan. And that's why one of the reasons I didn't work with Julie, because it was just like anyway, it was just like I don't know, she didn't really listen to my feedback and was like I couldn't like be myself. I had to like follow what she wanted me to do or the group wanted to do. Like it was not like I didn't see a lot of value in that. So I kind of like wanted to be like more myself and be social and have fun with training and not just like, oh my God, you just got to do this because you got to do this. Anyway.
Yeah. No, man, that's really good. A lot that you said there, and a lot to consider. I think it's really good. But I think the biggest takeaway for me from what you said is, this idea that your network is everything. And one of the wisest people I think that I've ever known told me basically that when I was pretty young, that your network is your net worth. And so I've always put a lot of value on getting to know people, because at the end of the day, money is not going to save you. It's the people who may have the money, or it's the people that are making the things happen in between. I mean, it's so interesting to me, like when it comes to money, actually, because we work hard or races to get, money. But at the end of the day, all we end up getting are like pixels on a screen that show a few numbers. It's just such an interesting thing to me. At the end of the day, like, it's people that make things happen. And then we trade numbers on the screen and say that like that was the exchange of value, which is so interesting. But yeah. What were you going to say?
Yeah, no, money is a delicate topic. Like, it's like, yeah, of course you want to have everything, whatever, but money is not everything. Friendships are a lot more worth than money. Of course, you cannot like be negligent about money. Like, you're not just like, yeah, you know what I mean. But like, it's just like you gotta, of course, work for it and have like enough to survive and be able to have a decent living. Like, but I feel like there's a lot, like the networking that I made right now. Like, actually, when I retire, I probably can even expand that and like get other stuff. Like, so yeah, it's very important.
Yeah. So I want to be respectful of your time. So I just have two more questions, and then I think I'm going to just have to have you on again, because I still have a ton of things that I would love to ask you. But for the sake of time, Kona is coming up. This is your first time racing Ironman World Championship. Is that correct, or is that incorrect?
That is incorrect.
That is incorrect. Okay.
Yeah, that is my third time actually. So I was
at Kona. Okay.
Yeah. As a professional athlete, I was already in Kona as an age group in 2016, but I was in Kona in 2022. My first time. I was second in the North American Championships in Des Moines. That was like an American race. I was second to my Hansen. Then I got my first Kona slot. And then I raced Kona 2022. I was 28th. And then last year I was podium in Brazil, Ironman Brazil, and then I qualified to Nice, and then I raced Nice and I was 22nd. So this year I was like 10th in Texas, and I got the last slot. And I was like, so now I'm trying to break the top 20 in Kona. I feel like,
okay, so that's the goal.
Yeah, top 15 I think would be my goal. I feel like top 10 would be like an amazing result. That would be like the best result of my life. Top 15 would be like kind of like what I'm working for, but like top 15 would get me inside the top 20. Like, but I think that's the natural progression, is getting inside that top 20 in the world. I think that would be like a very realistic goal for me, not like an unrealistic goal.
Yeah. Well, forgive me for not knowing. I should have done better research. Right. So there's that. But I'll look like an idiot on camera and in the podcast, so that's okay. But with Kona coming up, like you said, like top 20 or top 15 would be like within the realm of realistic expectation. But what would, and I know what that would take approximately from a physical standpoint in terms of bike numbers and swim time and run time. But what do you think it's going to take from you mentally to get there?
A lot. That race is very, very hard. And I think like in 2022, I was already a little cooked before the race happened. I was just racing too much. I was excited because I was doing well. And I was racing the PTO races and just racing too much. And this year I've been a lot more focused. I think I haven't really performed to my capacity this year. I think I had I kind of have like okay races, which are like average, but they're still good. Don't get me wrong. They're not like podium races, but they're very like average races, which is like kind of like within like what I can do. But like, of course, I think I have like a 10-20% more in me that I can achieve if I'm like more in the race or more like fighting for something else than like 10th place. Like, I feel like it's hard to push yourself to absolute limit when you're fighting for like 10th place. Or with the Pro Series, it's kind of been very competitive. I focus on doing only Pro Series races this year, and it's like the best of the best. Yeah, it's just been like the first race I did, Lionel won. The second race I did, Sam Long won. The third race, Trevor Foley won. Then Christian Blumenfeld won. So it's like all the guys were like very, very good at what they're doing. So yeah, I feel like it's it's gonna take a lot of mental, because like that race is like very brutal in the heat, and I feel like racing the heat is a lot different. And I feel like because being a smaller guy, I feel like I can take advantage of that and like really prepare myself to go to like the very dark place that I don't think I've been this year yet, and I feel like I can maybe do that in Kona and actually get a very good performance.
What does that mean, dark place?
It's a place that you like, you're suffering a lot, but you can still push through it because like what's at stake. When sometimes it's like you don't have that inner fire inside you. Like, oh my god, like yeah, maybe if I kill myself right now, I'm still gonna be like ninth place in a race. I'm not even gonna paycheck. But like whenever you're like, oh my god, this is the world champs. Like this is like I'm fighting for top 15. Like this is gonna be the best result ever. Like a Brazilian has achieved. Like a South American. This is gonna be the best time. Like this is gonna change my life. I can hurt for another hour. Like this, if this depends on my life, I feel like I can do it. Whenever like in a race, like you're like, I mean, don't get me wrong. Sometimes it sounds like I don't give them enough value, but like sometimes in a race, like, okay, like even if I kill myself right now, like this is not gonna change my life. Maybe I can go like 2 or 3 minutes faster, but it's like I might sacrifice, I might get injured, I might get like in a world champs, like yeah, if you this is the world champs, this is what matters. Like this is what people are gonna remember. People are not gonna remember if you were third, you got a podium in a race. Like people are gonna remember if you were like, oh my god, this. Like to date, I hold the fastest South American time, like 7:43, in an Ironman, and people remember that. People like won't remember like, oh my god, like yeah, like you're like, yeah, you maybe if you win an Ironman, that's also like something very valuable. But if you're podium in a race, people will forget about that. But like people will remember if you're like, oh my god, I was like top 10 in the world. I was the best Brazilian ever to race in Ironman Kona. I have the best time in Kona. People will care about that, and that's whenever you know what's at stake, you can push yourself to the absolute limit. And I feel that's one of the qualities of the world champions. They can push themselves very deep and very hard, but they cannot do that all the time. And even like Gustav Iden, sometimes like he like had a 1 year off basically because he didn't have the fire burning inside him, and who knows what is going to happen in Kona this year, So yeah, that's kind of like what I mean.
Yeah, it's interesting. I always, when I think about the dark place, because I tell myself, oh, when I'm going to get to a race, like, oh, I'm just going to like get to that place and stay there, but it's so uncomfortable. But it's always interesting to me because when I think about in training, like sometimes I've told myself, okay, like I'm going to pretend like if I don't hold these numbers for the next 2 minutes, like then someone's going to kill my mom or something. Like, could I do it? Could I hypothetically do it? And like, I very rarely ever am I able to kind of get to that place. But so when people say like go to the dark place, and I've heard stories of when, you're doing an Ironman and you're on mile 20 or whatever, and you're just giving it everything you have plus more, throwing everything on the line. It's always interesting to me to see like how people prepare to go to that place and commit to staying in such pain. It blows my mind. So
yeah, I feel like whenever that's going to change your life a little bit, it definitely helps because like I can do this. I can hurt for another 40 minutes. It's going to help for the next 10. Like I think it definitely helps.
Yeah,
but it's not easy. I don't think it's been a while that I don't go to the dark place. I feel like last time I went was like last year, like in May, like whenever I actually podium in the Ironman Brazil race. Like it was a very hard race, but I think I kind of like actually like in November I actually had a good race and another podium there that actually like very dig deep. But yeah, it doesn't come as easy. Like it's kind of like sometimes your mind takes over. Like the other side of your mind say, hey, like just let go a little bit, just take it easy, like don't kill yourself. But that's why sometimes, yeah, like it's hard to find like even like Sam Log. Like Sam is like he found the dark side. Like he's like he has to, and it's not easy for him to get to the dark side. And I think he kind of like has been missing this dark side in the last 3 months. He got it very well in the beginning of the year, but it's something that you have to really summon and really like concentrate to like go to that like it's very hard to go there and like really push yourself to absolute limit. And there's very few people who do that in and out or times through the year.
I wish there was like a practical list of like items to check off or things that to do to like, okay, here's how you know if you're in that dark place, here's how to get to that dark place, and here's how you build a tolerance. Because somebody could make a great book out of that, I feel like.
Yeah.
But so a final question for you then. So your personality seems to me as one that knows how to have fun, connect with lots of different people. Like you're very family oriented, and there's a piece of you that's, and from what I'm observing, is just kind of happy go lucky. I mean, you take things seriously, obviously, and you work very hard. But like you were sharing with the coaching philosophy, kind of how you would, go hang out with Rudy and you're going to do his training plan. Like you're able to adapt and continue to train, but you have kind of this more fluid mindset, which is something that I would like to try to adapt, because I tend to be more of the rigid, like I need to have this many hours and this many this and da 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 da. It's very regimented. For somebody who wants to take things a little less seriously or have a little bit more of the ability to keep things fun and healthy mentally, what advice would you give to them on how to adopt such a mindset?
I feel like the first thing is like just like surrounding yourself with good people. I know sometimes it's not easy. Sometimes it doesn't come easy. Sometimes it's hard to find good people. But like once you do, like I feel like it's value. Those friendships are very important. Sacrificing a little bit of your time to help somebody else. I feel like that goes a long way. Like it's, people notice that. Like no matter how successful they are, if you like sacrifice a little bit of your time to like help them, and they help you back. And I feel like, yeah, sometimes if you get caught up on your own like stuff, like you're just like sometimes you're gonna be miserable. Like you don't like really like you're gonna enjoy the process. Like I feel like having fun, it makes me really enjoy the process. And if I'm not enjoying the process, I'm not gonna get the most out of myself. So I mean that's a critical part of my. Of course, sometimes you got to do the work, and it's not gonna feel good, and you just got to do it. And that's why I feel like 80% of the time I'm training with other people. 20% of the time I need to do what's best for me, and I need to like really just suck it up and do it. But I feel like it's a very important component of my training, of my lifestyle, to be able to enjoy the process and things that I'm gonna remember, and friendships that I'm gonna like take forever. So those are very important things for me. Then like just focus on like just being completely like blindfolded, and like really not enjoying the process and just trying to get an outcome. And sometimes, yeah, some people can do that. Don't get me wrong, people can do that. But like, I feel like people surprise themselves if they focus a little bit on having more fun and like enjoying, like, and just being a little bit more flexible. Let's say, I feel like sometimes people are too much like, I gotta do this, otherwise it's not gonna go well. And I think the best race that I've had, and things didn't go well before the race, and actually they came together in the race.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Andre, thank you so much for the advice, and thank you so much for coming on the podcast and let me ask some questions about you. But I really appreciate you taking the time, rushing down the mountain. I'm glad you didn't crash again. But Thank you so much for coming on and let me have the opportunity to get to know you a little bit more. And all the best to you with your upcoming races, especially Kona. I know that's going to be a huge one. I'll be tracking it for wherever I am in the world during that time. I think I'm going to be, I don't know where I'm going to be, but I'll be tracking.
No, it's been a pleasure. Thanks for having me on, and sorry for the delay to get this going. But yeah, it was very enjoyable.
Thank you so much to Andre for coming on the podcast and allowing me to take some time to ask some questions about who he is. Obviously, a super bright guy, has a lot of energy, and really values connecting with people. So it's just awesome to hear about his life perspectives, and especially the big family thing. If there's one thing that I wish I had when I was younger, it is a bigger family. But good news, maybe I'll be able to do that in the near future. The last thing I guess I'll leave you with was in asking Andre, how do you keep things fun and healthy? Basically, it comes down to, based on my observation of what he said, is surround yourself with good people. Don't take things too seriously, and be willing to be flexible. If you made it to this point in the podcast, though, just want to say thank you so much for being here. If you are listening or watching on any of those platforms, if you don't mind liking, subscribing, commenting, reviewing, any and all of those things really do continue to help us grow this podcast. It's been such an honor for me to have you here and to help grow that. So please do all those things. Also, if you want to sign up for our newsletter, you can do so at the stupidquestions.show website. Thank you so much, and we'll catch you in the next one. See ya.